Episode for February the 11th, 2024. We just watched the first season of Echo, a Marvel series, which is both blessed and cursed with a lot of the actors who were in the Reservoir Dogs, which 3 seasons is probably one of the heights of the television that I've watched lately, and it's kind of cursed because, fortunately, Echo itself is a pretty standard, generic Marvel show with what felt like not much of a point. Very much a, you know, find your roots, be true to yourself, power in your where you came from, power in your in the echoes, the Mayas, the main characters, native heritage. But it's kind of weird in the sense of like that was her superpower. It's almost like it's like native spirituality is her superpower, which is kind of like, oh, I'm a Christian and the power of Christ gives me superpower. My hands glow, or at least you could kind of take it that way. Whereas I'm bit by a radioactive spider, or I get like Daredevil. I get hit by a splash of radioactive goo, gives me blinds me, but also gives me super sensory powers, echolocation and such like that is less exploitative of a person's culture. That said, this is a show that was very much made with Native American participation, Choctaw Nation, I think specifically, for a good hunk of stuff. It just it still felt like too much of a really kind of simple, basic story, one that was carried, that wasn't kind of told very deeply, and with weird stuff of the inclusion of the kingpin and his relationship with Maya feeling weird, like not fully developed in a way that like I cared. And to be honest, there were certain points where Kingpin did things like there's a interpreter who comes to a sad end, which I just sort of you laugh at because it's just like, oh, he's gonna kill her. It's like, okay, yeah, fine, he does, and that was just like, it's like it was more amusing than it was like, oh my god, this is so sinister and dark. It's more like, you kind of just roll your eyes at it. Um, and so you get this kind of climactic thing at the end of like, so is Maya gonna punch Fisk? Is that the end? It's like not quite, but it's like trying to use her native superpowers on him, which seem weirdly defined, and it's somewhat kind of takes away from what might actually be kind of rather deep and complex and not literalized, cartoonized spiritual beliefs in a way that's just like, this feels gross. It feels gross, and it feels like you're turning native spirituality into superhero stuff, which superhero stuff is fun. I like it, but when you kind of make it into a superpower, it's like it's kind of gross. And maybe that's the original character from the comics, but they've obviously decided to port that over and embrace it and use it. And but even if that was the case, it's just they don't make it engaging, even on a cartoon level. Like it's like, okay, fine, we're making a superhero thing, so just kind of you know have fun with it. But it's like it's not. I really enjoyed the actors. I really enjoyed that they used sign language throughout the thing, and like that Fisk is the only main character who doesn't use sign language pointedly, and there's a plot reason for that, and there's a kind of character reason for that. I really liked that. Um, And yeah, I'm slowly trying to learn sign language. And, I did find it funny that like there's all these characters in her hometown who've obviously kept up and kept on doing the classes and maybe have been talking amongst themselves using sign language because they're all still very fluent in it, whereas she's been away for like over 10 years. And like I'm like I go from one lesson to the next and I just lose stuff. It's just like, oh, do they kind of all get together for classes, um, you know, 3 times a week still to kind of keep up on it? Because they're waiting for her to come home and they can have this television series? Or is there other people around that are using it? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, yeah, it's like it had enough interesting stuff, but the interesting stuff wasn't really the story. It wasn't the story. And boy, I'm just, like I think everyone else, I'm pretty tired of Marvel stuff and the kind of the corporate churn, which to be honest, mirrors what happened with me and actual physical superhero comics back in the day. Is like I just got tired of them. You know, it's fine when you're into it. It's fine. You enjoy yourself, but then once you kind of like, yeah, I'm tired of that. I'm gonna go on and do something else. It's like, yeah, I'm ready to go on and do something else. No offense. And I have a feeling for the kind of the level of how much they want to make out of stuff like this. They may have burned out their the mass audience for stuff like this. There's always going to be a niche audience for stuff like this, but there may not be a mass audience for it, at least not in the amounts that they've been doing it. Maybe if they can retreat back enough, but I mean, it's a corporation. They're hungry for money. They're hungry for content. They want to churn, and you know, like comic books, like the comic book company, Marvel Comic Book Company, which was not doing well until the whole movie thing happened. Maybe they're just gonna, it's the corporate doom. They're gonna they're going to exhaust all this, and that'll be the end of it. All right, I'm gonna reel in my doodle. Come on, let's go. And go upstairs. Other things happened today. I worked on the description box for my 1901 project video, and I made the great discovery that Barbara Tuchman has actually written a book. Well, it turns out, hey, sure, up we go. It's more of a collection of 8 pieces that I think she welded together into a book, but it's about the period, the very period I am interested in, 1890 to I think 1911. So exactly what I want for my 1901 project is this really good historian has written a book about that. Wrote it in the 60s, so there's that. But hey, I will take that. That is amazing little bit of resource there. So hopefully I can gather stuff from there and then get more stuff. But Barbara Tuchman, author of A Distant Mirror about the 13th century that I love so much, has written a book in the area that I'm interested in. It's fate. It's fate. All right, I'll leave it there. More videos later.